Hi everybody. In today's video, I'm going to do another flip through of a different Ship's Wheel mini album that I have created. Since I created my first album, I started selling the chipboard covers. I decided to do a quick tutorial to show you how to bind the pages and the cover together if you wanted to purchase this, but you weren't sure how to do it. I'm also going to be offering a kit that will have the paper collection here that I'm using and the chipboard cover, as well as some of the chipboard pieces. The kit does not have any of the decorative pearl, the trim, or any of the other embellishments, but it does have the base for the album. So if you're interested in purchasing that, I will link that in the description box below, and it will come with an assembly guide as well. So getting into this album, for this one I did use acetate here on my cover so you can see through that cover. And I've added the rope trim around all of my pages here. There's two different kinds. Again, this doesn't come in the kit if you want to purchase this, but these were from one of the local craft stores. So on the first page here, I've used one of the cut apart cards from the collection, and I've added some pearls just to give it some decoration. Created a flip out here, room for 2 3x4 photos, and I've just layered up some chipboard pieces. These chipboard pieces will come in the set that will come with the album if you choose to purchase the kit. Now on the back of the page here, I have a couple of my cut apart cards here, and then room for photos on the back. And then I've just got some chipboard pieces to weigh it down, but also to act as more of like a tab for you to flip those pages. On the front of page 2 here, I have a frame, and the frame has an opening at the top so that the photo will slide behind it. And then I've just layered up some of the chipboard pieces here. So very simple pages. On the back of the page, I have a tag here that I've made from the cut apart card. And then I've got a place here for a 3x4 photo. The chipboard is open here. This one is as well, so that photo would slide behind it. And then this just tucks down here. And if you didn't want to journal, you could also just add a small photo on that journaling card. On the front of page 3, I have this tied close to hold it down. And this opens up, so you've got room here for photos here and photos here. Then on the back of the page, we have another one of those frames. It is open at the top, so that photo will slide underneath that and the banner piece. And I've got a chipboard piece here just to give it some decoration. On the front of page 4, I have another ribbon closure here, just one of my chipboard pieces to give it some extra embellishment. This flips up, room for a photo or for journaling, room for a photo here, here, and here. Then on the back of the page, we've got, take this tag out first, we've got a tag or room for a photo. We've got the 3x4 photo here, and then we've just got the chipboard pieces layered up. And this tag just tucks right in there, and those chipboard pieces hold that tag in place. And then I've taken these are the insides of the frame pieces. I've just flipped this one over. You could put a small photo here. This is open, so that photo will tuck behind those little banners or the flag. And then you could write here. So it said our shore excursion, but you could write anything about your trip there. And then I've got one of my chipboard pieces here layered up. And then this is the back cover. I did not put acetate here just because you're not typically going to be paying much attention to that back cover, and it wasn't needed because you have the decorative papers that you can see in those spokes of the wheel. The final thing on the spine of the album, I did add a chipboard piece here and just left that plain paper there. You could add additional embellishments there, but I wanted my covers to be able to lay flat, so I didn't want to line it with anything there. So this is my Ship's Wheel mini album, and it's using the Simple Stories collection. So if you choose to purchase the kit, it will come with 5 pieces of 12x12 paper. That's all I use to create my album. It will come with the chipboard pieces, a piece of acetate, and it will come with some red and white paper that you need to make some of the additional photo mats inside. Otherwise, it does not come with any of the additional embellishments like the trims or the pearls. If you are interested in adding the pearls, I do have some of these pearls available. I will link those as well in the description box below. I'll link the album if you just want to purchase the album cover and the pages, and I will list the kit so you have multiple options. Now, this album itself will be listed for sale as well. It is a one of a kind. I will not be making more once it is sold, so it is simply if the first person who buys it will get it. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be linked below. The rest of the video is going to be spent teaching you how to bind the pages together and then how to bind the pages into the album after those pages are decorated. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I am binding together my pages for my Ship Wheel album. So this is my cover here. I have the red cover. It is actually white on the inside, but I have taken a red Sharpie marker. You can see I've gone over most of this, and I've gone over the entire thing here. Now, I'm going to use this one for the back cover, so I didn't actually need to do the inside here because I'm going to be cutting a piece of paper that's going to fit on here. But for this one, I covered the entire thing because I'm going to be putting a piece of acetate on the front of here. So I want to make sure that everything is covered because you will actually see it when you open your cover. Here are my 4 pages. They're red on the front, white on the back. I am using white cardstock for binding my album together. You can use regular cardstock, you can use red, you can use your decorative paper here, whatever you choose. This is my spine piece. It measures 2.5 by 3 3/8. So I have cut 5 pieces of my cardstock to 2 inches by 3 3/8. So it is the actual same size here, top and bottom. Now my 4 pages are going to have a 1/2 inch between them and a 1/2 inch on each side. That's why my spine width is 2.5 inches. I've cut 5 pieces here, 2 inches by 3 3/8. I've already scored these ones. I'm going to show you how to do this. Now the thing is, when I did my first album like this, the pages weren't easy to fold, so I added an extra 1/4 inch. Now normally when I make typical mini albums, I use a 1/2 inch as an extension so that the pages will lay flat, but the way this album is designed, I don't have a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to use a 1/4 inch. So with my scoring tool on my scoring board, on the 2 inch side, I'm scoring all these pieces at 1/2, 3/4, 1 1/4, and 1 1/2. Then what I'm doing, I'm taking these pieces and I'm folding on all of those score lines. Now a trick to keep these straight is to start from the center and work outward. I'm going to fold here, holding it in the center and then folding outward. Same thing here. And then this final one here. And then I'm going to take these all in the opposite direction and fold them and burnish one more time so that these folds, or these folds will actually move easier when the pages are flipped. So now I have my pieces here and my pages. I'm going to take my first piece with my 1/2 inch tab flipped down. I'm going to apply my adhesive here. Now I'm going to flip this over and place this so that my 1/2 inch tab is on the front side of my red part of my cover, or of my page, just like this. So now I have that 1/2 inch part on the page. I've got my 1/4 inch part that's going to allow my page to flip and move so that it's a little bit easier to set and to turn. This is the part that's going to be on the spine piece. We're going to have another, I like to call them gussets. I'm going to fold up the opposite end here and apply my adhesive here. And now on this one, I need to make sure, so this is how this one is going to go. So I need this to go on the white side. I have this flipped up here. I'm going to turn this over to the white side to make it easier so I can see that straight edge. And you'll know you have the correct side. White side and white side are both showing here. I'm going to burnish this down. And now we've got our first 2 pages hooked together. This will be in the spine of our album, like this, and then it'll allow those pages to turn a little bit more freely. Once I have my first piece put on, I'm going to take my adhesive and apply it to the 1/2 inch tab on the opposite side. So I need to make sure that it's folded over first, and then I'm applying my adhesive here. Then I'm going to take my next page and I'm going to apply it here. So I'm going to use that score line that's straight to line up the edge with the edge of the page here. And then I'm going to burnish this down. So we've got our 2 pages that are connected. This is the piece that's going to go on the spine. I'm going to fold this over like this, and I'm going to burnish this. I'm going to take my next piece here, and I'm going to actually fold over 2 pieces now. I'm going to apply adhesive to my 1/4 inch section along with my 1/2 inch tab section that's going to go on the page. And then I'm going to try to fold. It's going to get a little messy. Going to fold on that 1/2 inch first and apply that 1/2 inch to my page. Then I'm going to fold that piece over so that my 2 1/4 inch pieces meet. And I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that those are adhered together. So now on my page, if I look at it like this, I have my 1/2 inch flat section, the 1/4 inch sections are adhered together, and my second page is on. I'm going to fold back on the 1/2 inch and apply my adhesive here. Now I'm going to set my page with the white side facing up so that I can see this easier, because I'm placing this on the back side of the page like this. Now I've got my 3rd page in here like that. I'm going to take my next piece and I'm going to repeat that process with my 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch pieces. First, I'm going to apply the 1/2 inch section, making sure that that score line is lined up with the edge of the page. Then I'm going to flip this over and come in here and make sure that that is adhered down. Next, we're going to add the fourth page in. So we're going to apply adhesive to that 1/2 inch section first. I have my page flipped to the white side. I'm going to turn this over and then line up that score line with the edge of my page. And while I have my album like this, I'm going to take my next piece, apply my adhesive to the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch piece. Then I'm going to carefully fold this to the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to place this here on the white portion. And then adhering this all together with the 1/4 inch pieces. Now I'll take my final piece. I'm going to apply my adhesive to my 1/4 inch and my 1/2 inch sections. And I'm going to be placing this on the front of the first page. Okay, so I have taken my piece and put my 1/2 inch section on my page here. Then I'm going to press the 1/4 inch sections together. And now I'm going to come back here and I see that one of my 1/4 inch sections here didn't stay together very well. So I'm going to apply adhesive to the 1/4 inch section and then press them together like this. It can be kind of tricky to get in here. This is actually kind of easy to do it this way. Maybe I should do it that way from now on. But I want to make sure that this stays together, and it would help if you let these dry before you move on. I'm just kind of rushing through it because it's a tutorial, but the more they dry, obviously, when you bend and move them, the better it'll be. And one other thing that I realized is I didn't need to add this 1/4 inch here for my front cover because I don't need the cover to bend and flop. But that's okay. I can, when I adhere this to my cover, I'll just adhere the entire thing down so it won't hurt anything. Same thing with the back one. So I'll have 3/4 of an inch to adhere down to the cover instead of a 1/2 inch. So you won't even know that those lines are there. It won't matter. So now I've got my pages here. And if I bring in my spine piece, for my 5 sections that are flat, they will be, I know it's probably very hard to see this, they're exactly 2.5 inches. So they go from spine to spine. Now, when I connect my spine to my cover, I'm actually going to be connecting multiple pieces. There's going to be a gap between these pieces. So this will actually give you a little bit more room. So if you're worried about it being a little bit bigger, don't worry about it. It will work out fine. Now, when I made my first album, I actually had decided to put the covers on before I decorated any of the pages. So I assembled the base of the album first, and it was really challenging for me to actually come in here and decorate things because the pages didn't flip very easily. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to decorate all of my pages, and then I'm going to come back and assemble the rest of the album. So when I come back in just a second, you will see all of my pages are decorated. You can choose to decorate your pages like I'm going to and then come in and do the cover, or you can just go ahead and do the cover and then decorate your pages afterwards if that's what you prefer. I'm going to start putting my album together now. So I have a piece that measures 3.5 inches by 3 3/8 of an inch. Now my piece was round, so that's why my corners are not perfect on it. It's not a straight rectangle here, but if you have rectangular pieces, it'll be perfectly fine too. So don't worry about mine not having a complete rectangle. I'm actually going to end up trimming it where it falls in the holes of my cover anyway. So I'm going to take my spine piece and apply adhesive to the red side. Now, if you don't want to cover up the whole chipboard red spine, you can just cut pieces like we did for the pages, and you can just put a piece here and then wrap it over to the cover. But I'm going to completely cover mine, and I'll be placing this right in the center of my piece. I've already kind of folded this over a little bit so I know where center is. And I'm just going to adhere this right down. And then I'm going to fold these pieces over so that I have those creases. Now I'm going to use my ruler here to help to keep this straight. So I'm leaving one of my spokes here in the top so I know what the top of the album is, which leaves 2 of these down here on the bottom. So I want these to be straight. That way, when I place this, I know where to put my piece. So when I bring this over here, I'm going to set this piece down. It's going to be this side, but I'm going to line this up to show you. It's going to be right here to where this touches right on these edges. So in order to do this, I'm going to apply my adhesive to one of my tabs. And then I'm going to put it this way, making sure that it's flush on my ruler here. That way I can eye this to make sure that it is straight. So I want this to be as straight as possible. So again, I'm just going to go off of this, eyeing it, but you can also, if you have a second ruler, you can make sure that it's straight this way. And now I want to make sure that this is burnished down really well. And then this will open like this, and then the cover is going to sit on here too. But before I go any further, I'm going to flip over so I see a little bit of my paper here. So what you can do is you can make this 3/8 of an inch instead of a 1/2 inch, and you probably won't see this at all. Or you can take scissors or a craft knife and you can remove this extra paper after you have finished putting it on like I'm doing. For my front cover, I've gone ahead and added my adhesive to the second tab here, and I am going to place this here. And on this one, I am just kind of eyeing it at first. So I need to get this stuck down. I do have double-sided tape on my cover as well because I am going to be putting acetate down. So excuse my head for a moment here. I need to just see if this is lined up. And another way that you can check is to see, yeah, it's off a little bit here. So need to bring it this way a little bit. So now both of my covers are laying flat because they're both touching when when my album is standing up. Okay. So I can go ahead and burnish this down. And then just like the one on the back, I'm going to flip over and I'm going to just cut away. There's only a little bit here, so I'm just going to cut this paper away. Okay, so one thing that you want to be careful about is when you're opening your cover, you do not want to set the album flat until you have your front cover completely open, flat against your spine, so it will push this piece flat, and then opening your cover so that it doesn't crush any of those pieces. And we're going to next come in here on the inside and we are going to put this down here onto the spine. So for these sections here, we've got some things falling out of my album. I need to set those aside. So we need all of these flat pieces here. And we're going to be adhering those all down to the spine. So for now, I'm not going to be applying adhesive to those wings on the side. I'm just going to be adhering it to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections that are flat, or these gussets. Now I'm going to place my pages sideways just so that it's easier for me to see without having my head in the frame. With the first piece, I'm going to line it up with the edge of the spine, and I need both sides to be lined up, and then the top and bottom should also line up. Once everything is lined up, I can go ahead and press all of these down. Now I'm going to use my bone folder here to get in between my pages to try to make sure that I press each of these down. These front and back ones are pretty easy, obviously, because there's nothing in the way, but these ones in the center are a little bit more challenging. Now I want to make sure that I don't drop these pages yet, because if this is not adhered all the way to my spine, it will pull up and then there will be puckers between the spine piece and the paper. So I'm actually going to hold this until it is completely dry. Waiting, I am also going to adhere down my other pieces here. So I'm going to very carefully apply my adhesive to the 3/4 inches left on this tab. You can trim this slightly if you want to. Now, if you had already put a piece of paper, if you're planning on putting a piece of paper down here, you'll need to trim this so that you don't see it. Obviously, I'm going to be putting my paper down, or my acetate down, in just a minute, but I need to have this down first. So once I have this piece down, I am going to use my bone folder to make sure that this is nice and flat. Then I'm going to come in, once this is dry, I'm going to come in from the opposite side and use my scissors to remove this extra paper in here, just like we did with the other pieces. I'm going to take my adhesive and do the same thing with my final tab to get this all together. Now again, you want to be careful. Again, I'm trying to keep my pages flat against that spine piece. So if you don't feel comfortable doing this way, wait until these pages are dry. That way you can lay them down and then you can focus on adhering these pieces down. Now that I have the pieces cut away, I've got this for here that's going to go on the back side. Instead of adding my adhesive to my piece though, I'm going to be adding my adhesive to my cover, since I don't want the adhesive to be in these cutout pieces for the spokes. So for my back cover, I'm just going to completely cover this, and then I'll come and show you the front cover where I'm going to put my acetate. For my inside front cover, I've already added my double-sided tape around here, except for this portion, which I will need to add next, since I did have to remove the double-sided tape to lay down my cover or my hinge pieces to get my spine attached. So I like to use double-sided tape when I'm using acetate because I feel like it holds it better than regular adhesive. So I've got my acetate piece cut. So with my acetate piece, I am going to lay this down here. And then I'm actually going to need to trim this. Just slightly, since the pages are not completely round. Now, once I have this, I am going to add my adhesive to this, and then I'm going to place it down, and I'm going to be using my double-sided tape here since it's going to be sticking on top of my acetate. So that's it for the tutorial teaching you how to bind the pages together and how to bind the pages into your Ship's Wheel album. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.